On my wedding day, my husband slid a beautiful diamond ring onto my finger, the one he'd saved 3 months to afford. I wore it every single day for almost a year, never once taking it off. What I didn't know was that 2 weeks after the wedding, my mother-in-law had already swapped it for a fake one. I had no idea until a jeweler looked at it and said 4 words that changed everything. "This isn't a diamond." My name is Grace. My mother-in-law, Diane, had never truly approved of me. She thought Ethan could have done better. Married into a more established family, she said once, when she thought I wasn't listening. She was polite in front of him, always smiling, always saying the right things. But when we were alone, her comments had a way of cutting quietly, precisely, like she'd practiced them. One afternoon, she invited me over to help sort some old jewelry of hers. While I was distracted looking through a box of her late mother's brooches, she asked to see my ring, saying she wanted to admire the setting up close. I took it off and handed it to her without thinking twice. She held it a little too long, turned it over a little too carefully, and handed it back with a compliment about how lovely it looked on me. I never suspected a thing, not for months. The ring looked identical. Same cut, same band, same little engraving on the inside that said always. I wore it to dinners, to work, to bed. I never had it appraised or cleaned professionally, because why would I? It was fine. It was beautiful. It was mine. The truth came out almost by accident, nearly a year later, when I lost a small stone from the setting, and took the ring to a local jeweler for repair. The jeweler examined it under his loupe for a long moment, then looked up at me with a strange expression. "This is a very well-made cubic zirconia," he said gently. "Good quality, but it's not a diamond." I sat in the parking lot afterward for almost 20 minutes, replaying every moment I could remember with that ring. Before it clicked, the one afternoon Diane held it a little too long. I didn't confront her right away. I told Ethan first, showed him the jeweler's note, watched his face shift from confusion to something quieter and angrier than I'd seen from him before. He remembered his mother mentioning, almost too casually, a jewelry cleaning service she'd used around that time, one none of us had ever heard of before or since. When we finally asked her directly, at our own kitchen table, Diane's composure cracked for just a moment before she rebuilt it. She said she'd only meant to have it appraised properly, that she'd found a concerning flaw in the original stone and quietly replaced it with something safer. Meaning to tell us eventually, Ethan asked, simply, where the real ring was now. She didn't have a clear answer. It took another 2 months, and an uncomfortable conversation, involving a pawnshop receipt Ethan found going through her old mail with her reluctant permission, before the truth fully surfaced. She had sold the original diamond, quietly, and used part of the money for a home renovation project she'd been putting off. She did eventually pay Ethan back, in installments, over the following year, not because she wanted to, but because Ethan made clear it wasn't optional. She never fully apologized, not in the way that felt real. But something shifted permanently that day at her kitchen table. Ethan stopped making excuses for her, and for the first time, he chose, clearly and without hesitation, to stand entirely on my side of the table. I have a new ring now, one Ethan picked out entirely on his own, kept in a safe until our first anniversary. Diane has never asked to see it up close. If this story shocked you, hit subscribe. New stories of quiet betrayal and family truth every single day. And tell me in the comments, would you have ever suspected your own mother?